Football Queensland's coverage of the 2019 NPL, NPLW and FQPL season is brought to you by IFCA, Australia's only national football-specific coaching conference, 25th and 26th of May on the Gold Coast. Get your delegate pass today at ifcca.com.au. Play football. Join the team today. Visit playfootball.com.au to find your nearest club. Football Foundation, making football more accessible for every income, every gender, every ability, every background, every Indigenous Queenslander. Donate today. Football Queensland's coverage of the 20...
There might be a pretty big game in the Hyundai A-League coming up later this evening, but there's a pretty massive game happening in the National Premier League's Queensland an hour before the A-League kicks off. So you best stay with us as we witness third place taking on fourth. It's Olympic against Gold Coast Knights here at Goodwin Park in Yeronga, just south of the Brisbane CBD. Simon Smale with you on the call, and welcome to a beautiful Goodwin Park. The pitch looks an absolute picture. The conditions are absolutely perfect, albeit slightly cold as winter starts to bite a little bit harder than you might be used to here in the southeast corner of Queensland. Olympic will be looking to get one up over their rivals for a top four spot as the race for the finals really does heat up as we approach the halfway point of the season. Round 15 it is in this extended season in the top flight here in Queensland. Lots of excitement around the race for the title and the race for the championship as well. So much football left to be played. Olympic, well, I'd like to thank the Coffee Club for all the support in getting them onto the park each and every week here in the National Premier League Queensland, and Gold Coast Knights. I'd like to lend their thanks to the Croatian Sports Centre and Football Gold Coast for getting them into the action on a weekly basis. One other match taking place today in the National Premier League's Queensland. That's up on the Sunshine Coast. It involves Lions, who are currently in second spot, and in time added on up there at Kawana, it is the reigning premiers and champions leading by a solitary goal to nil. Brave fight being put up by the Gold Coast, who have improved dramatically in recent weeks. That all means that the league ladder looks a little something like this. Peninsula Power on top with 42 points. They yet to taste defeat in the National Premier League's Queensland. Lions will head up and maintain their second spot on the ladder, and then it's just a point separating the next two sides who we will see grace the field tonight. Gold Coast Knights on 29 with 9 victories and 2 draws against Olympic, who also have 9 victories and just the 1 draw. The 2 defeats for Olympic coming against Lions and Peninsula Power. They will hope not to make it an unwanted trio of results against the sides ahead of them in the table. Gold Coast Knights will the only side they've been humbled by. is in fact Peninsula Power. So Knights, a strong side, and they have been welcomed with open arms into the National Premier League's Queensland here in 2019. And they have brought a bevy of stars with them. We'll run you quickly through the side as it lines up now. Tim Allen will be in goal, the former Brisbane City captain and goalkeeper from a couple of years back. He's back playing in the National Premier League Queensland after a couple of seasons away. Jaden Walker will be in front of him wearing the number 2 shirt. Oscar Dillon in the number 3 shirt. Roman Hoffman, number 6. Number 9, Sam Smith. Number 10, Max Brown. Number 11, Jaden Prasad. Number 13, Jared Carl. Number 16, Mitch Nichols. Number 23, Matt Schmidt. And number 26, Luke Austin. A couple of familiar names there, none more so than Mitch Nichols, the former Brisbane Roar player, played over 100 times in the A-League for the Brisbane Roar, did Mitch Nichols. He's been a marquee signing for the Knights. He'll be playing his 5th game for Gold Coast here at Goodwin Park, the 30-year-old. Returning to his roots is Mitch Nichols, a Southport boy and former Palm Beach junior. A lot of this side do have connections with Palm Beach Sharks, and indeed the team that then turned into Gold Coast City. Of course, Olympic have got a long history with Palm Beach. They were defeated by them 3-2 in the 2014 Grand Final. And they will renew acquaintances in the FFA Cup. Olympic taking on Palm Beach at home. Then they will meet either Moreton Bay United or Surfers Paradise. Gold Coast Knights have an interesting time the Cup. They'll take on Peninsula Power. Running quickly through the Olympic side as they line up now. Brandon Kumaneo will start in goal. Jack Glover wearing the number 2 shirt. Kristen Waters wearing number 4. Number 5, Steve White. Number 7, Shelford Deas. Number 8, Kazuya Ito. Number 9, Chris Lucas. Number 10, Alex Smith. Number 11, Jez Lofthouse. There has been a late change. Zelfi Nazari will start ahead of James Kumaneo. He'll join former Brisbane Roar star Matt Mundy
Ladies and
in
gentlemen,
the starting lineup. It will be fascinating to see how Mitch Nichols and Matt Mundy line up against each other. The 32-year-old Canberran, who's just celebrated his birthday on the 8th of May. So we see the teams being led out by the Total Tools referees. Steve White leading out Olympic in the number 5 shirt. Sam Smith, the giant English striker, leading out Gold Coast Knights. Should be a fascinating clash, this one. Really, really looking forward to it. It's a pleasure to be here high above the Goodwin Park field, perched up on top of the roof of the grandstand here as the two teams line up ahead of the pleasantries. Really, really excited to be here to call it. Home has not been a particularly happy hunting ground so far this season for Olympic, a team with a record of only having been defeated twice. One of those did come at home. And what a defeat, 5-1 the scoreline against Peninsula Power, although possibly wasn't a fair reflection of the result. I remember speaking to Ben Khan a week after that match, and he still couldn't believe that it was 5-1. But it does lend questions to Olympic's defensive record. They have conceded 15 goals this season, which is 5th best in the competition. They're going to be coming up against the Gold Coast Knights side that have only conceded 11. They both have scored 35 goals in their 12 matches so far this season, though. Going forward is not the problem for Olympic, but it will be interesting to see how the defence manages to deal with the incredible scoring prowess of Sam Smith and Jared Carl, all proven goal scorers. Sam Smith leads the Gold Coast Knights scoring tally with 8 at the moment. It's not anything to sniff at, but pales in comparison to the record of Chris Lucas. He's scored 13 goals in his 12 matches so far, and he also has a connection with the Gold Coast. Former Palm Beach Shark, won the National Premier League's Queensland competition back in 2014 with the Sharks. He is back in Queensland by way of Bentley Greens. Gold Coast in the dark blue. Mitch Nichols will be the man who will kick things off, wearing the number 16 shirt, a familiar figure to all of you watching around the country. If you're familiar with the A-League, it's a star-studded lineup. They have certainly invested heavily, have Gold Coast Knights, in an attempt to come into this league and make a real splash, and they're certainly doing that. On a fine run of form as well. They've only kept two clean sheets away from home, but 3 of those came in their last 5 matches. Only the 1 defeat away from home as well. And Mitch Nichols gets things underway here at Goodwin Park. Gold Coast Knights in the dark blue, clicking from right to left. And it'll be an early touch of the ball for the majority of the team over on the far side of the field, and then they'll go long straight away. Mitch Nichols in a foot race with Jack Glover. Glover will shepherd that one out. Slightly overhit that pass, but good field position early for the visitors. Coached, of course, by Gray Piddock. Pitching his wits against Ben Carr. Bit of head tennis over on that far side. Deft touch from Mitch Nichols. Doesn't squeeze its way through, though. Still with Gold Coast Knights. Nichols, that's another deft little touch over to the far side. Carl it is with the cross. Doesn't beat the near man at the front post. Sam Smith gives chase, though, and causes a turnover. It's Walker on the ball. Now Mitch Nichols back with Walker. Was it a handball? No foul, says our Total Tools referee, and we'll continue with the head tennis. Roman Hoffman, former Newcastle man, on the ball, and it is an early free kick in a fairly threatening position for Gold Coast Knights. We will have a new balls, please. Shower assistant on this near side needed a little bit of advice from the grandstand. There'll be plenty of that. Healthy crowd here at Goodwin Park beneath us. And Olympic have made a feature of their active support in recent weeks, particularly this season, and they are in fine voice away to our left behind the goal. And we'll be hoping to blow this ball away if it goes anywhere near Brandon Kumineo's goal. Plenty of tall figures in the box. Oscar Dillon making a nuisance of himself. He just got a little bit tangled with Kristen Waters there, who will take no prisoners. Goes down again, does Oscar Dillon. He's making a habit of that in these early stages. Ball is with Walker. That was sloppy from Walker. He's given it straight to Alex Smith. That's not what you want to do. Smith has Lucas in the middle. Smith may well go himself. Jaden Walker with a really vital touch, and then a little bit sloppy from Shelford Deas. It will be a free kick to Gold Coast Knights, and Tim Allen will get his first touch of the ball. Player I had a fair amount of dealing with when he was captain of Brisbane City all those years ago. It's a really inspirational figure. Spent time in Northern Ireland with Ballymena United. He's been around the traps, and he's a fine goalkeeper as well, but an even better man. So good to see him back in the competition and excelling as keeper of Gold Coast Knights. He wasn't the starting goalkeeper for Knights. That honour fell to Josh Langdon, but he has won his spot and won it well. As Zelfin is Jez Lofthouse, perhaps across field. He has his pocket picked by Luke Austin. Now Max Brown wide to Walker. Knights with the early play here, and there's a little bit of physicality in the middle already. Ball nowhere near being swept in. Jared Kyle unable to get his foot around it, but I think it was Mitch Nichols just bumping and barging his way through. No, it was Max Brown, in fact. So they are a physical team, Gold Coast Knights. Grey Piddock sides tend to be that way, but they mix it with some sublime football and beautiful touches as well, as Mitch Nichols shows here. Gets better of Kazuya Ito, and that's no mean feat. Jared Kyle uses his body well, can't keep it in though. It is a goal kick. Good bright start from Gold Coast Knights though. remains goalless. Morvis goal kick is being taken. It's probably an apt time to remind you that IFCA is coming. It's Australia's only national football-specific coaching conference for 25th and 26th of May on the Gold Coast. Make sure you get your delegate pass today by visiting ifcca.com.au. Waters deals with that back pass well, and back to Brandon Kumineo. Well, good touch by Lofthouse, but he loses out in a physical battle over on that far side. Carl tries to take it forward. He gets his pocket picked, and now Lofthouse tries to squeeze it through. Smith, now Lofthouse has room to run into. It needed to be timed well, that tackle, and Jaden Walker managed to do so perfectly, because otherwise Jez Lofthouse was away and at the races. It's like a jack-in-the-box, Jez Lofthouse. As soon as he gets a sniff of free space, he goes and goes hard and fast. Wasn't able to do so there, though. Excellently timed tackle by Jaden Walker. Tim Allen on the ball for the Knights. He switches play wide now to Matt Schmidt. One goal so far this season for Rockhampton boy, coming against Brisbane Strikers. He loops that ball forward towards Smith, who has 8 to his name. There's not many players who are a match physically for Sam Smith, but if you're going to pick one, it would be Kristen Waters. Sloppy at the back, though, for Olympic. Good work, though, from the defence in the end to get back and steal that ball away. It was Matt Mundy who had to do his defensive duties, and he's there mopping up as well. A slightly shaky start, it has to be said. And then the goal is in the back of the net. Jared Carl doesn't need a second invitation when it's presented to him on a plate like that.
The score is now Olympic 0, Gold Coast 1.
Well, it didn't take long, and Gold Coast Knights, have been the better side. And the early goal is nothing short of what they deserved. Jared Carl gets it. That's his 6th goal of the season. He's now scored in each of his last 5 games in the league. And a disastrous start at the back for Olympic. We raised questions about the defence before kickoff, and that prediction has come home to roost for the home side. All the work to do now, although there is plenty of time for them to do it. High intensity from Gold Coast Knights, and Olympic just can't match it at the moment. Here's Luke Austin. The run was Jaden Prasad. Prasad's heavy touch, though, and he has his pocket picked by Mazzari. Mazzari raises the question of our Total Tools referee. He's wearing the number 19 shirt, and that's not the number that we have on our team sheet. Solid chest from Hoffman off the clearance of Kumineo. Gold Coast Knights come again. Offside is the call against Nichols. He chips it into the penalty area anyway. Brandon Kumineo is screaming at his players. Is he, or is he having a word with the referee? Either way, it didn't look particularly pleasant. Olympic would do well not to be rattled here. Bright early start from Knights. They're just chugging along nicely in the league, picking up victories. Only being defeated once. One of those draws did come in the derby that we had our match of a round earlier on in the season down at Carrara. Other than that, they've just been knocking along quite nicely, whereas Olympic have had a couple of testing results of late. Victories by a solitary goal against Easts, Brisbane City. 2 goals against Brisbane Roar last week in that 3-1 victory. Interspersed between a 1-1 draw with Brisbane Strikers here. And that all came after that 3-2 defeat against Lions, a dramatic 3-2 defeat in which they looked down and out and then almost snatched a draw from the jaws of defeat, and then had the point snatched away from in the cruelest possible way, deep into stoppage time. Prasad with the cross deep towards the back post. all Gold Coast Knights at the moment. Hoffman spreads it to Dillon. Goal scorer Kyle goes back to Dillon. Here's Hoffman again. Space on this near side for Schmidt. Prasad to Nichols, who ghosts into space, and Nichols rather caught his own teammates out with that. And here is Jez Lofthouse. When he gets his skates on, he's incredibly difficult and incredibly tricky. That's lovely from Jez Lofthouse. The cross was deflected though on its way through, and Knights will build again from the back through Prasad. Prasad giving Sam Smith something to think about, as is Kristen Waters, and Kristen Waters uses his physicality well. Matt Mundy. Kazuya Ito. Smith goes down, no foul. Hoffman was the Knight closest. Schmidt in space. Neat triangle there from Knights, and the ball forward towards Mitch Nichols, headed clear by Kazuya Ito. Lofthouse. White can't keep hold of it, but Nazari can. His pass is weak. It'll be a Gold Coast throw over on the far side. Despite the scoreline, Gold Coast are being met with a barrage of noise from the Olympic supporters to our left. They'll be hoping to rouse their team out of their early match slumber, and it has been a bit of a slumber. Sloppy passes like that, giving possession straight back to Gold Coast Knights. Matt Schmidt will take his time over picking his pass here. Smith and Deus were in all sorts of contact. Brown. Dillon wide to Walker. Walker to Kyle. Walker inside to Hoffman this time. Now back to Walker. Lofthouse was pressuring, but Walker still manages to get the ball away upfield to Smith. That's a heavy back pass, an awkward one, and it'll be a corner. Sloppy from Olympic. You don't often say that from Ben Khan's side, but that is exactly what we're seeing here in the early stages at Goodwin Park. Hugely disappointing from the home fans, I'd imagine, and a golden opportunity for the Knights to double their lead from the set piece. Luke Austin makes his way forward. He's yet to score so far this season. Nichols wanted it short. It goes to Nichols, who flicks it on. It's headed clear by Nazari. And again, sloppy in transition from Olympic. Knights still have possession. Ben Khan is just about to pop his clogs over on the far side, pop a gasket. He's absolutely fuming at the way Olympic are playing. He's not going to pop his clogs, hopefully. Hopefully it's not that bad, but he's certainly pretty frustrated, and he's bouncing up and down over on the far side in his technical area in frustration. Here's Prasad. Deus does well. Comes back to Nazari. Nazari forced into a corner up towards Smith. Smith battles well. He was pulled by Hoffman. Might have been a little bit of subterfuge there used by Alex Smith, 33-year-old. Another player on display here today with A-League experience. Olympic didn't seem to know what to do with that free kick once they'd got it. It goes wide to Jack Glover in the end, who's closed down by Nichols. Sloppy again. Nichols is played in once more. He goes to ground. Still has the ball at his feet though. Looking for an option. Receives the ball back from Walker. Chips the ball over the top to Smith. Smith inside to Kyle. Kyle was offside. Just how dangerous Gold Coast Knights can be. Olympic can't afford to even blink, it seems. Otherwise, Gold Coast Knights will be in different positions and racing forward. And Olympic really do need to pick their game up if they're to get anything from this game. Even in these early stages, it's been dominant from the Knights. Smith is down holding his head. The Total Tools referee is obligated somewhat to stop play, and gives us an opportunity perhaps to remind you that IFCA is just 2 weeks away. Limited tickets remaining. If you make sure you get yourself to ifcca.com.au now, you'll still be able to secure your pass. That's ifca.com.au. It's just 2 weeks away, 25th and the 26th of May on the Gold Coast. Should be a fantastic occasion. Allen picks the ball up and attempts to distribute the ball quickly to Kyle. It's unfortunate in the way that it bounces over his head. One of the criticisms that his former coach, John Cosmini, used to have of Allen was his distribution. Did take an unfortunate bounce on that occasion though. Waters. Deus was surely fouled. Not so, says our Total Tools officials. Prasad was the party accused wrongfully of committing the foul. Knights look very assured, even at the back, even in these closed spaces. Have to get rid of it quickly here though, and do so. Lovely touch from Walker. Was it a handball? It was a handball. Opportunity perhaps for Olympic to deliver a ball into the middle. Gray Piddock is arguing his case and is particularly animated about it before he settles himself back down. Ben Khan has done the same. Another ball needs replacing. Olympic have all their big men back in the opposition penalty area. Gold Coast Knights have all of their big men back. Smith is taking on defensive duties on this occasion. Roles reversed against Kristen Waters. Swept in towards Smith. He didn't get enough on it, and it's comfortably gathered by Allen. Allen is bouncing around on the edge of his penalty area looking for an outlet ball. He finds one eventually. It's now at the feet of Nichols. Sard popping up on the opposite wing, switches play to Kyle. Kyle has a lot of time and space, goes inside to Hoffman. Brown and Schmidt linking up well. Kyle can't maintain possession though, and here's an opportunity for Olympic to break out through Mundy. Mundy over the top to Jez Lofthouse. No matter how many times you say it, teams often give Lofthouse a lot of space. Covering across was Mitch Nichols. He's seen it all before from these flash youngsters. He steals the ball perfectly with a perfectly timed tackle, but can only clear it as far as Kazuya Ito, although Ito then has his pocket picked by Prasad, and Smith is about to go on a rampaging run down that far side in front of the Olympic bench. It took a pretty good tackle from Matt Mundy to stop any further threats on Brandon Kumineo's goal. Deus inside to his captain White, back with Deus now. Deus wants an outlet ball in front of him. That outlet ball was Lucas. Lucas now back to Nazari. Nazari twisting and turning back inside. Here's Alex Smith. Deus. Deus. Here's Smith! Oh, it's so close to the equalising goal. Smith will be kicking himself for missing that one. The first time Gold Coast Knights have looked threatened at the back. It was a good ball across. I think originally it was aimed perhaps for Lucas, or perhaps I'm doing Shelford Deus a disservice there, because it picked out Alex Smith perfectly and running onto the ball. Well, you'd back the former Wellington Phoenix player to do better there. Waters went flying. Smith is protesting his innocence. This is what happens with these physical players, Waters included. There'll be plenty of contact between the pair, and then it's about how you utilise that contact to win free kicks from the referee. Not conning the referee as such, but making sure that the effort is going more one way than the other and making the referee know about it. Here is Waters, goes wide to Deis. Deis has a little bit of space. Olympics suddenly finding their feet in this match. They trail by a goal to nil. Jared Carl capitalising from a poor mistake at the back in the opening stages of this first half. Lofthouse. Deis was cleaned up off the ball. Sorry, it's Kazuya Ito was cleaned up off the ball by Kyle. No free kick and no ill effects on Ito. Smith goes past one, goes past two. Lovely from Alex Smith. He overruns it slightly though, and Jaden Walker comes back to defend, and that's a lovely outlet ball, but it's picked up by Nazari. Nazari goes all the way back to Christian Waters, who will look for an option ahead of himself. He's picked off by Prasad. Prasad looks to go forward to Nichols. Nichols gets picked off, and it's poor from Nichols really, because Max Brown was wide open on this near side. Here's Deis. He's dispossessed, but Smith mops up. Lucas out wide right. That's not where Olympic will want to see him. Mundy. Waters. Glover. Luke. It's Lofthouse who got dispossessed. Knights will build. Heavy touch from Brown. He recovers well. Prasad tries to switch the ball through towards Sam Smith. And now Olympic will go again. Here's Lucas. This is where he's dangerous. He gets to the ball just before it goes out. There's no one in the middle, and almost a mix-up at the back. Allen with the confident claim. They just have a word with his defender there, just to make sure he doesn't get in his way again, because you see all too often those balls get deflected past goalkeepers. Waters gets caught out though there by Prasad. Prasad with the through ball towards Nichols, but Kazuya Ito with a little bit of trickery of his own lets the ball run out for a goal kick. It's a brief respite in the play, a brief respite in the chanting from the Olympic supporters. Back into the action now. Certainly a push in the back there from Christian Waters. That's what I'm talking about, just making sure referees know that there is contact. Sam Smith probably didn't need to work too hard to let the referee know it looked like solid contact from Christian Waters, and I think most people in the similar situation would have gone to ground, but Smith just tottered a little and wins a free kick in a dangerous position. Hoffman scored 3 goals in his 2 seasons, in each of his 2 seasons with Gold Coast City. Chips this one in, it's headed away by Waters. Carl and Smith flanking him, it's headed back in. And it's wide of the target. It was that man, Oscar Dillon, former Queensland junior representative, who was on hand. He only scored 1 goal in that 2017 season for Gold Coast City. He hasn't found the back of the net yet this campaign. Wasn't all that far away from doing so, though, on that occasion. White gets the better of his opponent in the midfield. He's back on the ball now, and they've backed off him a little bit. Chipped across towards Lucas. It's going to be headed towards Deis. Deis and Lucas linking up. Lucas back inside to Deis. Prasad hammers it out, taken quickly by White. Deis on the edge of the penalty area, turning himself into trouble, turning himself back out of trouble, outside of the boot towards Smith. It's hammered clear by Dillon. White cushions that ball. Waters, apologies, cushions that ball brilliantly. Glover threads the needle between 2 on-rushing Knights. Brown goes down. Get up is the call from the supporters beneath us. He does so. Ball is played forward towards Lofthouse. Normally you'd say that was a lost cause, but with Lofthouse you never know. Referee just wants a word with Max Brown to make sure that he's okay. Is that he will be able to continue. Just a clash of legs, nothing more sinister than that, but he is still feeling that knee, is Max Brown. Allen up over halfway. Smith rises highest, but can only succeed in heading the ball back towards Jez Lofthouse. He's back with Lofthouse again. Zelfi Nazari turns out of trouble, finds Mundy. White, no way through forward, so goes back to Kazuya Ito, back inside to Mundy. Nazari. Waters. Olympic patiently building, looking and probing for an opening. That's not the opening that Kazuya Ito was looking for, because it was occupied by Mitch Nichols, but Glover picks up that pass, tries to go forward. It's picked off by Dillon though. A little bit of contact there between Dillon and Lucas. No foul. Prasad chips that ball over the top towards Smith. Risky. Flag was up though. That had to have been very, very close. Kumineo wants to take it quickly. He may have been better advised to keep hold of it while Matt Mundy did his laces up. He's back in action now though, Mundy, but the ball is ahead of him with Smith. Smith inside, or tried to thread the needle to his captain, Steve White. Alex Smith has worn the Olympic captaincy armband so far this season, but here's Prasad. Almost looked like it was opening up for him there, but Olympic have swarmed back. Nichols over the top to the back post, and that's an awful miss from Max Brown. It might have bounced awkwardly just ahead of him, but a pinpoint ball provided by Mitch Nichols. And a great opportunity for the Knights to double their advantage. As it is, it remains a 0-0. But Olympic were picked apart with relative ease there by the Knights, and that one pass by Mitch Nichols. No clearance on that kick from Kumineo. It's worked out for Olympic. Smith goes down. Solid contact between he and Jaden Walker. Crabbing their way upfield over on that far side of it here at Goodwin Park. Perfect conditions, but the wind is just creeping up slightly. Nichols with another crossfield ball right to the feet of Jaden Prasad, who controls it perfectly. Prasad runs straight into Shelford Dias, who concedes the free kick. Prasad's just asking for a little clarification from the official. It's taken quickly by Hoffman to Nichols. Nichols back to Prasad. Prasad goes wide to Brown. Brown far too heavy with the cross. It is a goal kick. Intelligent work from Gold Coast Knights and Roman Hoffman. He saw that Olympic were at 6s and 7s and took it quickly, the free kick, and caught his opponents unawares. While we retrieve that ball. Did you know that IFCA offers discount packages for up to 6 delicate passes? Clubs are encouraged to contact info@ifcca.com.au. That's info@ifcca.com.au to secure a spot for your team and coaches. It's a fantastic learning opportunity. Plenty of teams have signed up already. Don't miss out on this opportunity once it's here on the Gold Coast. Acrobatic header by Hoffman clears it from danger, but straight into the path of Kazuya Ito. It's fallen fortuitously for White in the end by way of Lucas. Lucas spreads the ball wide to Dias. Dias has a little bit of space. He could go back to Nazari. Instead, he's going to go himself, Dias. Can be so tricky, but he rather tricks himself, and Prasad will come away with it. Lovely from Prasad. Can't beat Steve White, though. But that's really, really good work from Jaden Prasad, who's scored 6 goals so far this season, the former Redlands United player, and it came against his former club, Redlands United, and has scored in the last 2 weeks. Jaden Prasad, in the league that is. Knights, of course, getting up in the FFA Cup by beating Wanderers on Wednesday. 3-1 the score there to set up the meeting with Peninsula Power. Throw to Nichols. Nichols is challenged by Lofthouse. Lofthouse gets the better of his aged opponent, and then Nichols leaves one on Lofthouse. A little bit naughty that. Olympic still have possession. Mundy has no one wide because Lofthouse was otherwise engaged. Here's Nazari. They decide to go more central, do Olympic. Eventually going wide with Ito, occupying the space that Lofthouse would. Otherwise, that's a sloppy challenge. Got the ball though, says the referee. Kazuya Ito is down. He's just picking himself off the ground now. Lofthouse. Through the back really was Prasad. And Lofthouse wins for free kick in the end. And it's against Prasad, I think. Good refereeing, allowing the play to progress, because it did look like Lofthouse could have had an opportunity there. Wind really blowing up here on top of the grandstand. Apologies if it's causing any distortion in the microphone. Steve White delivers this ball in. Lofthouse rose highest. It certainly wasn't intended for him. He comes out to Ito though. Ito can provide a decent ball. He goes wide to Smith. Intelligent play. Smith hammers it back inside. It's headed clear by Austin. Back at the feet of Mundy. That cross is blocked at source. Kazuya Ito back inside. It comes off a referee on its way through to Jez Lofthouse. Here's Smith though, wide left, sorry, and on his knees was Chris Lucas. It would have been extraordinary to beat Tim Allen in that situation, in that scenario, but he attempted it nonetheless, but couldn't direct his header on target. It remains Olympic 0, Gold Coast Knights 1. The goal coming in the early stages of the match from Jared Carl after he was gifted the opportunity by some sloppy work at the back from Olympic. Allen just turns his head in disappointment at that clearance. It's being headed around though and will fall the way of Gold Coast Knights. Prasad has space on this near side. It's a heavy touch and it's going to be picked up by Lucas. Can Olympic capitalise here? Lucas wants an option in the middle. Smith is getting there belatedly. It goes all the way back to Mundy. Mundy wide to Lofthouse. Lofthouse on the edge of the area has his pocket well and truly picked by Mitch Nichols. And the chance goes begging for Olympic, well smothered and well dealt with by the Gold Coast Knights. Austin. Schmidt goes back inside to Hoffman. It'll end up at the feet of Austin once again. Forward this time from Schmidt to Brown, but Olympic are back to cut that ball out. Hoffman will go again though. Goes all the way back to Luke Austin. Wide to Oscar Dillon. Walker. Patient build-up from the Knights. This is excellent play. Walker tried an ambitious crossfield pass to Prasad, who had acres of space to work in. Now he's going to have to track back because Zelfi Nazari is pressing forward. He was cut off though by Schmidt, and it's Olympic who have to go back and retain possession. Both teams doing this very well in this first half. Olympic were sloppy early, but they've found their feet in this one. White stretched, but it found its way to Lucas anyway. Ito, back to White. Lofthouse comes. Lofthouse suddenly has a little bit of space to work in. He picks his way past 1, 2. He gets cut off by the third though. The third was Luke Austin, and it was a very well-timed tackle. Nichols attempts an audacious cross, and all of a sudden the space is Olympics. Well, that was poor from Nazari. He hasn't had a great game. He wasn't due to start this one, it has to be said. When we say poor passes, that was a terrible one from Prasad, and it's allowed the ball to fall at the feet of Lucas. Now Lofthouse. Lofthouse works his way into the penalty area, twisting, turning. Lofthouse overruns the ball and then barges into Oscar Dillon. It is a free kick for that rather ambitious attempt from Jez Lofthouse. But Lofthouse, when the ball is at his feet, he is an absolute magician, an excitement machine. He's just unable to fashion a goal-scoring opportunity on that occasion, but too many more chances provided towards Jez Lofthouse and Olympic, and you do wonder how much more time Tim Allen will spend just taking goal kicks. He hasn't had too much else to do so far, has Tim Allen, in the Gold Coast Knights goal, for all of Olympics' impressive build-up play in this first half, or at least the latter part of the first half. Smith goes down again, not for the first time today, that time after tangling with Mundy. He then goes in very late on Kristen Waters. That was built out of frustration, I think, from Sam Smith, who started absolutely phenomenally, and he's going to earn himself a booking here. Is he from our Total Tools assistant, Total Tools referee? It certainly looked that way. He wants a little bit of time and space to make a decision. In fact, it's just going to be a stern talking to. He's kicked the ball away a couple of times, has Sam Smith, and he's been told in no uncertain terms that if he does it again, he'll be offered a card. You do wonder whether those stern talking tos really have any effect. Ito tries to go down a blind alley and gets cut out by Kyle. Kyle chooses to give the ball back in a flamboyant fashion. Lofthouse perhaps suggesting, well, that wasn't given back straight to us. Where was the talking to then? There was none forthcoming. Olympic get on with it. Here's Glover. Lofthouse. Inside to Mundy. Mundy to Smith. Smith lets the ball do the work. He gets it back! First time shot after the return pass from Chris Lucas. Smith was not too far away. Much better from Olympic. When they get their radar right in that attacking third, they can be so potent and so dangerous. And Gold Coast Knights are starting to understand that and starting to perhaps realise that it's not going to be quite as plain sailing as they thought when Jared Carl gave them the early goal. Olympic have shored up at the back. They've had a lot more of the ball. Certainly a handball there from Smith. Smith, is he going to kick this ball away? No, he's just going to walk slowly with it. Again, there is absolutely no point in having stern talking tos. If you're going to tell someone off, that's what the cards are for. Took a deflection on its way through to Lofthouse. Lofthouse evades one challenge, evades two. Lovely footwork from Jez Lofthouse. He finds Deus. Deus had to work hard to get past one challenge, gets past a second. And Jaden Prasad is fuming that that free kick's gone against him. And then Olympic take it quickly and make a bit of a meal out of it. The hand went up in apology from Chris Lucas. He started his run. Lofthouse thought he saw that and then played on. But I tell you what, the way Jaden Prasad blew up then, we could be talking about another yellow card. And you do wonder how much time referees want to spend getting dissent thrown at them in that situation before they do act. Something I have little tolerance for, and some referees are the same. Others decide to let things go a little bit more. I'll get off my high horse now. Tim Allen takes the goal kick. Aims towards Smith, who rose with Glover. Neither of them got a touch. Glover on the ball now. Finds Ito. Ito has nothing in terms of an option ahead of him, so instead has a little touch, uses Smith. Azari. Waters saw a run, but his pass didn't match the intentions of that run. It's fallen to White, though. Here's Lucas. Lucas does battle with Dylan. Lucas picks Dylan's pocket! Allen at full stretch. It's only a goal kick, so Allen didn't get a touch. Solid collision between Dylan and Lucas. You have seen them giving us free kicks in favour of the defender, but that wasn't the choice of the referee on this occasion. And Lucas almost added to his impressive tally of 13 goals so far this season. He wasn't far away. It was always bending away the goal. The shot from the goal, I should say. And had it been any closer, Allen was at full stretch and did have it covered. But a good opportunity for Olympic. They've fashioned a couple in the last few moments. Smith jumps again. Sam Smith, as opposed to Alex, who's wearing the red and white bars of Olympic. At that time he was bested in the air. There's a push from Dillon, and it just put Mundy off. It's at the feet of Mitch Nichols. Nichols has his pocket picked well and truly, and now the ball's played forward. Allen is miles out of his goal, and he had to rely on Oscar Dillon to win that ball then, because otherwise Chris Lucas, all it would have needed was a touch, and Allen was in no man's land. And you're talking either goals or red cards for being taken down in a goal-scoring opportunity in those situations. Almost put his defender in a spot of bother, did Tim Allen. Austin twisting and turning to get the better of Alex Smith. Hoffman to Schmidt. Schmidt to Dillon. Dillon wide to Walker. Can Gold Coast Knights fashion a chance before the half-time break? Here's Kyle. He's been quiet other than scoring his goal. That ball hits the corner flag, stays in. Kazuya Ito picks up possession, goes inside to Mundy. Mundy chips that ball forward towards Lofthouse. Lofthouse rather gave that one up, but it was still in play, and Gold Coast will build from the back. Here is Matt Schmidt. Prasad. Forward to Smith. He pulls Waters wide. Smith does well. Puts the ball into the middle where Glover was in attendance, and he hammers it out for a throw-in. Gold Coast will want to take this quickly, but there's no players forthcoming to want this ball. It falls at the feet in the end of Prasad. Prasad goes back towards Brown. Brown sweeps this one in towards Kyle at the back post. There's a real height mismatch there between Kyle and Ito, but Ito did rise highest. And here's Lucas, lovely touch, but he's so far away from goal. He cuts back to evade the attentions of Mitch Nichols, and he'll work his way forward. Mundy. White is dispossessed. Smith, Nichols. Sorry, it's Kyle over on that far side. Lofthouse can't keep that ball under control, and he had space then. That's an opportunity wasted for Olympic. Speaking of space, Schmidt has acres of it. He's going to go on a little run himself. He checks and passes wide to Prasad. Continued his run though, did Schmidt. Schmidt's left-footed cross, it's a dangerous one. It missed everybody. Nichols was arriving late. It's still there. Carl chips it in. Smith's in attendance. It needs to be cleared by Olympic. It is belatedly. Hoffman with the shot. Was there a handball? That's what Olympic are saying. It doesn't matter anyway because it was straight at Brandon Kumineo, and Kumineo gathered strongly, and he needed to. High-tempo football being played now as Mundy is dispossessed illegally, according to the referee, by Brown. Ito showing a little bit more impetus. He can't put that ball past Nichols though. Sam Smith is dispossessed. Now Lofthouse. Didn't bounce very high, that ball. It's at the feet of White now. White forward towards Lucas. Lucas is battling with Dillon again. Allen needs to be quick because Lucas was kiting up the meters there. Well intercepted by Nazari, but Gold Coast Knights have numbers there. 3 of them, in fact, and now the ball's at the feet of Prasad, who does well to go back when under serious pressure from both Deus and Smith. That long ball forward through towards Sam Smith, though, was too heavy, and it's picked up by Kumineo. Now at the feet of Nazari. No time to breathe here at Goodwin Park, although now we may have a slight opportunity to just catch ourselves. 5 minutes or so remaining before the half-time break. It is still Olympic 0, Gold Coast Knights 1. Here's Lofthouse. Lofthouse with a teasing cross picked off by Dillon before it could get to Lucas. Dillon did really well there to find Kyle. Kyle almost has his pass inside picked off. It was a risky one, but it was just enough for Alex Smith to look at, not quite get a touch on. And now good link-up play between Brown and Prasad. Prasad has lots of space. He'll pick his spot, and it's gone back to Ito. Kyle wanted a bite of that, and Kyle is going to get a booking here, is he? The foot was up. Kyle is going to be booked. That's the first booking of the game. And the man who scored the only goal of the game is the first person to go into the referee's notebook. He just left his foot up there on Kazuya Ito, but that was almost a tremendous kerfuffle at the back for the home side, and they did well to escape from that without conceding a second. Just a reminder that professional coaches receive 60 continual professional development points for attending IFCA, so make sure you enhance your knowledge by booking today at ifca.com.au. Kumineo almost hits Nichols with that pass. Smith said he was fouled, and then the ball is kicked away by Oscar Dillon, and that is a stupid yellow card. That's his 4th of the season, Oscar Dillon. Jared Kyle, that was his 5th of the season, so he'll be serving a suspension. Only a couple of players in the squad today for Gold Coast Knights without a booking to their name. Tim Allen amongst them, Adam Ndian on the bench. He doesn't have one either, and neither does Mitch Nichols. And indeed, neither does Danny Norton or Josh Langdon, although Langdon, as a goalkeeper, would be hard pushed to be booked, you'd have thought, in normal situations. That was really silly from Oscar Dillon, and he's one step closer to a stint on the sidelines. Kyle goes down, no foul. Gold Coast have it anyway with Smith. Smith goes back to Nichols. Nichols spreads the play wide to the near side with Matt Schmidt. Schmidt tried to thread the needle to Jaden Prasad, and it's a very good job that Shelford Dias was on hand for the home side's perspective, because otherwise that ball was through, and so was Jaden Prasad. Lofthouse going up against Walker. Lofthouse goes into the penalty area. Lofthouse! It's just wide of the target. He breezed past Jaden Walker like a knife through butter. And if not for the attentions of Oscar Dillon, we could well be talking about the equalising goal on behalf of Olympic for Jez Lofthouse, but it was not to be. Excellent covering defence from the Knights. Excellent game of football so far here in the National Premier League's Queensland. Simon Smale with you, and it's a pleasure to be here on top of the roof at Goodwin Park to bring you all the action for Football Queensland on behalf of Double Take. Kyle goes down, tripped by the trailing leg of Nazari. Free kicks taken quickly by Nichols right onto the foot of Prasad, who controls brilliantly, and then Prasad has a fist and more of Nazari's, of Shelford Dias, shirt, and he kept hold of that, and even when Dias was pushing him, he still had a fistful of the shirt. It almost sparks a little bit of a confrontation. Sam Smith, the Englishman, never shy of getting involved in these situations. He was on the scene almost immediately, and now a little bit of a shake of hands and smile between Jaden Prasad and Shelford Dias. All the heat taken out of the encounter on that occasion, but the conversations are still happening in the centre of the field. That's half-time. It's been an entertaining half of football here from Goodwin Park. Olympic, the hosts, trail Gold Coast Knights by a 1-0. Jared Kyle getting that goal, but it did get a little bit tempestuous towards the latter stages of that half. A couple of yellow cards being shown as frustrations started to build for both the home side and the visitors. They all go into the sheds to cool down. We'll try and stay warm up here on the roof, and we'll have a few short messages for you, and then we'll be back at Goodwin Park for the second half of this National Premier League's Queensland encounter. Olympic trailing Gold Coast Knights by 1-0.
Why do I play football?
Why do we play football? I play for fitness.
Competition.
Community spirit.
It's healthy and safe. And fun.
I play for celebrations.
What's your reason? Join our team.
We swear a lot at Total Tools. We swear by our range. We swear by our service. And of course, we swear by our prices. So you'll know that you're buying at the best price every day. Total Tools. Every tool, every trade.
Take off!
Come on, Jordan, hit it!
Claire Polkinghorn here from the Brisbane Roar. I'm pleased to announce Archie Green as one of the Aldi Mini Roos of the month for April. I'm pleased to announce Mia Afoa as one of the Aldi Mini Roos for the month of April.
We've got the Girls events running across the state from the Gold Coast to as far north as Cairns, and we invite you to come along to give football a go. Whether you've played before or whether it's your first time, we encourage you to come along, have a go, enjoy the experience, and most importantly, have lots of fun. The events are all free of charge. All we require from you is for you to register prior to the event, and that can be done on Football Queensland's website. Yeah, the girls. Yeah, the girls. Yeah, the girls! No. Yeah, the girls.
When did sharing food photos become more important than sharing a plate with someone you care about? It's time to put down the phones, pick up a menu, and reconnect at the Coffee Club. With excellent coffee every time, a choice of meals to suit everyone, and surroundings that make it easy to share a moment. Because at the Coffee Club, meeting up means more. Where will I meet you?
Football is currently the fastest growing sport in the world for women. With Australia's success on the international stage and Olympic success in developing players for the national stage, the Girls FC program is designed for every player, whether they want to be a Matilda or whether they just want to play for fun. Girls FC is a 16-week program for girls aged 5 to 12. It's a fun and safe environment where girls can make friends and learn the full core skills of football. Anyone interested can email community@olympicfc.net.au. I hope to see you here.
You feel like a brontosaurus.
New Mazda 2. Join the 2 tribe.
Welcome back to Goodwin Park. The Olympic side are out on the field. Ben Khan sending them out slightly early, and they're just being joined now by the Gold Coast Knights team, who are leading their hosts by 1-0. It was a goal scored by Jared Carl off a defensive mistake, and it's worth just reminding people that Olympic did have to make a late change. James Kuminea was withdrawn and Zelfi Nazari was promoted into the starting lineup. This was informed to us a couple of minutes before we went on air. I have tried to find out what was going on, and there was no information forthcoming from Olympic, but that slight change in situation at the back could have caused the slow start from Olympic, and it was a slow start at the back. In fact, it was a poor start from Olympic defensively. We mentioned that defence is probably the biggest weakness in this Olympic side. Of course, last season they had the benefit of former Socceroo in Shane Stefanuto. No Shane Stefanuto nowadays here at Olympic. He has hung up his boots, and you do wonder whether they are just missing that experience. Kristen Waters is a fine player, and he and Jack Glover have both been leading the defence fairly well, but it was just the personnel change so late. It looked like it had unsettled Olympic. I'll try and find out afterwards as to what the reason was. It might have been tactical from Ben Khan, but nevertheless it was a sloppy start, and Olympic will be hoping that doesn't continue at the start of the second half. Olympic in the red and white stripes, kicking from right to left, and it was Kazue Ito on the ball, and he passes to White. Good control from White. He goes wide to that man Zelfi Nazari, who was the late call-up. No space for Deus to work in, but he has won the throw-in. Deus looks for an option. It's going to come to Mundy. Mundy has it cut off, though, by Sam Smith, tracking back and doing his defensive duties. Every single Gold Coast Knights player in the defensive third. They break three now. Kazue Ito making a rather rash effort at trying to win that ball. Fortunately for him, Jack Glover was on hand to cut that pass out forward before it got to the feet of Mitch Nichols, a former Brisbane Roar player, 30-year-old, former Palm Beach junior, so he's returning to his roots, the Southport-born player, who played 226 games in the top flight here in Australia. Last game just earlier this year for the Wellington Phoenix against the Mariners, a club that Ben Khan, of course, has a connection to as former youth coach. There's connections all over the park here in this match, and plenty of talent, and we have been treated to a high quality game of football. Here's Walker chipping that ball towards the back post, headed away by Waters, and then Jez Lofthouse. Talk of high quality, this is the highest of them all. Jez Lofthouse, certainly in terms of potential, he can't find the pass. He's appealing for a free kick, claiming he was being manhandled by Roman Hoffman. Again, don't like seeing players attack the referee like that, but Des Lofthouse felt like he had a case and it wasn't being answered. Is there an offside there against Max Brown? There is. It's a really late flag, and I think in fact the whistle went before the flag went up. It was a long way offside from Max Brown. Perhaps our assistant on this near side had communicated the fact before displaying it to the supporters and your good selves on the live stream. Thanks for joining us. We hope you're enjoying the call. Simon Smale with you. We are high above the action here at Goodwin Park, on top of the grandstand, if you're familiar with the ground here by the river in Yeronga. Fantastic place to watch football from. The field looks in immaculate condition after a beautiful week of sunny weather here in the southeast corner of Queensland. And it might be a little bit cold, but the action on the field is keeping us plenty warm enough. Here's Nazari. He goes back to Mundy. Mundy to White. White all the way back to Kristen Waters. Forward into Deus. Deus goes down. Is that a penalty? Or is it right on the edge of the area? It's a penalty! It's inside the area, and Olympic have a golden opportunity to strike back at the start of the second half. The Gold Coast Knights are appealing that it might have been out. I don't think they're appealing the decision, because Deus looked like he was being manhandled and kicked and all sorts on the edge of the penalty area. And it will be up to Chris Lucas, who won a premiership with a Gold Coast-based side in the National Premier League Queensland back in 2014. He's scored 13 goals so far this season from just 12 games. Make that 12.5 games. Will we be making it 14? Tim Allen, an imposing figure in the Gold Coast Knights goal. Referee just checking that every single player is outside of the area. Lucas against Allen. Allen guessed right, but Lucas's shot was powerfully and perfectly placed. Olympic 1, Gold Coast Knights 1.
Gold Coast Knights 1.
Lovely strike from Chris Lucas, his 14th goal of the season, and we are back on level terms here at Goodwin Park. Absolutely fantastic. What a game we have on our hands. I know there's another one that's just kicked off in the Hyundai A-League, but judging by the way football's been over the last week, none of the action will happen until the second half anyway, so you may as well stay with us here in the National Premier League Queensland. There's enough A-League players on the field anyway for this to almost seem like a quasi-A-League game regardless. The atmosphere is electric. And now Jez Lofthouse has got his wind in his sails, and he manages to pick the pocket of Walker, who recovered really well to just put that one out for a throw-in, because otherwise Jez Lofthouse was away and at the races. Olympic with the impetus now here in the second half, having scored and equalised from that spot kick by Chris Lucas. White eventually moved to claim that ball. He gets it to Alex Smith, who goes back to Waters. Waters goes forward. It's a sloppy pass, picked off. It's at the feet of Jack Glover, though. Glover threads the needle slightly better to the goal scorer, Chris Lucas. Now White goes forward again. It's another poor pass, though, from Kristen Waters. Picked off by Prasad, but it's still there for Olympic. Throwing over on the far side. The home side will be looking to peg Gold Coast Knights in. How will Gold Coast Knights respond? A draw here probably won't do either of the sides' hopes of a top two finish much good, but it's certainly better than a defeat. They are separated by just a point on the ladder. Gold Coast Knights on 29 and Olympic on 28. They are chasing down the pair at the top of the ladder, reigning champions Lions, and the unbeaten Peninsula Power Lions, who scored a narrow 1-0 victory over Sunshine Coast up in Kawana today, as Shelford Dias does some excellent work again on that far side. When he gets his back up, he can be a phenomenal player, Shelford Dias. We saw how fantastic he can be against the other Gold Coast side down at Coplix in Talabudgera. That ball's aimed forward towards Sam Smith, dealt with by Glover. Glover is caught late by Smith. That's not the first time we've seen that, and the question is being asked of our Total Tools referee. Just another late challenge from Sam Smith. He's getting a talking to. This is his second talking to. And I have a feeling that the referee's saying something similar to what he said at the end of the first half. Any more of that and you're going in the book. It was for a different issue. It was for kicking the ball away. This time it was for kicking his opponent, the Gold Coast Knights captain. It's a free kick regardless, that is taken by Kuminao and hammered forward towards the centre circle. It's picked up in the end by Nazari. Late inclusion in this one. Chipped forward by Mundy. It needed to be dealt with by Dillon, and it was dealt with brilliantly, but the home side, who are swarming at the moment and putting Dillon under all sorts of pressure. Lucas is the last man who gets a touch on that one, and it's out for a throw-in on this near side. Walker will take. He wants movement ahead of him. Olympic will be pegging them in, but Carl gets his head to it and heads it on to his long-time strike partner Smith. That ball was out. Again, a late decision from the assistant on this near side. The ball certainly was all the way over the line. Good throw to Smith. Neat little flick by White. Almost overran it though and bumped into Prasad. A few words exchanged as well. Mundy went down. His pass back towards Waters, ending up at the big centre-back's feet anyway. His pass forward though is picked off by Matt Schmidt. Schmidt has his pocket picked by Deus, who is certainly he's on one in this second half. It's the only way to describe it. Alex Smith now forwards towards Lucas. Pass through to Jez Lofthouse! In off the post! Olympic have the lead! Sublime football from Olympic! Absolutely magnificent. Alex Smith with the pass wide to Chris Lucas. Lucas spots Lofthouse in so much space, and for the second game in a row, Jez Lofthouse finds the back of the net with an inch perfect sliding pass past the diving Tim Allen. It was a despairing dive. It wasn't enough. Olympic lead by 2-1. It's only taken 10 second half minutes for Olympic to strike back, and they have striken back with some vengeance. No matter what Ben Khan said at half time, it surely worked. Olympic have come out firing with the fire of their fiery English coach at their heels. We have seen a substitution. It's Nick Panetta who comes on, former Raw youth player. Jared Kyle is a man who has been withdrawn, and straight away from the restart, Alex Smith, Sam Smith races through on goal. Kumineo with just a little touch to take it out for a corner. You're at your most vulnerable just after you've scored, and Knights are going to look to make Olympic pay here. Very dangerous situation to think that job's being done having taken the lead, because there is so much time left to play. The corner goes all the way over the top. Oscar Dillon swings it all the way over the other side. It's out for a throw-in though. The ball has gone for a goal kick. The ball went out, much to the displeasure of Mitch Nichols, who's left a steely glare at the assistant on this near side. We're going to see a second substitution for Gold Coast Knights. Gray Piddock shuffling his pack quite dramatically. It's going to be Max Brown who's come off. He had that golden opportunity in the first half. He was unable to make the most of it. And he has been withdrawn as well. So 2 quick substitutions for Gray Piddock and Gold Coast Knights. Adam Ndian has come on. Lucas almost in behind there. Took a good swinging foot from Luke Austin to snuff out that danger. Olympic have options on the bench as well. Costa Saros, Matt Heath, Dan Driver, former Brisbane Raw youth player as well. They've won a 3 kick over on that far side, and Gold Coast Knights match is unravelling somewhat in the opening exchanges of this second half. Unable to deal with the onslaught that has been this Olympic team in the second period. Free kick will be swept in. So much movement in the box. Tim Allen's going to have to claim, and he does well. He actually ran over the top of his own player. That's why there's no free kick given. He made the save brilliantly, and then the free kick is given in the end. Tim Allen's down on one knee. Knights might want to keep an eye on that. Knights players don't seem to be too concerned though. The outfield players, that is. Tim Allen, I judge, may have slight concerns over his well-being, but he went right over the top of Oscar Dillon then. He'd been a spectacular pack mark, and I think in AFL he would have been paid for mark, but that's not the game we're playing here, as another jumper goes up from Jack Glover. He was being tangled with by Sam Smith, and there was a little bit of tangling going on afterwards as well. We'll keep our eyes on that one. Smith just straight into an offside position there. Here's Nichols though, lovely touch from Walker. Nichols sees his path towards goal blocked by Matt Mundy. Lovely touch from Lofthouse, tried to split the gap between the two players, unable to do so, and it's the substitute Nick Panetta now. Nick Panetta running towards the edge of the penalty area. He's tackled brilliantly by Glover, and Olympic will clear. And they'll go upfield towards White. White's going to do battle with Dillon here, and White's going to chase down Tim Allen. It was a half-hearted effort though, and Allen launches that one over the halfway line. Again, Smith tangling with Glover, and again a little push afterwards from Glover. Again, we'll keep our eyes on it. Nichols with the poor control. He raises his eyes to the heavens. The ball is back at the feet of Brandon Kumaneo in the Olympic goal. He gets rid of it quickly though. Upfield towards Alex Smith. Alex Smith turns away in disgust. He was being well and truly monstered by Luke Austin, all legally. Austin having the better of his more experienced opponent there. Now the Knights will come again. Here's Prasad. He was so influential in that first half. What can he do here? He puts the cross into the middle. It's an air swing by Waters. Still there for Smith. Was there a handball? No. Early shot. It's saved and it's in. No offside. Gold Coast Knights are back level. Walker with the initial shot. I think it caught everyone by surprise. Brandon Kumaneo could only parry it. And it's for substitute Nick Panetta, I think. And then there's a Knights player down. Was he injured in the celebration? That's incredible. He looks quite injured as well. Wonderful shot from Jaden Walker. We're level here at Goodwin Park. There may have been a hint of an offside, but the assistant was perfectly placed. She's raised her flag fairly late on a couple of occasions, and we're actually just going to go and have a little bit of a discussion now.
Gold Coast Knights scored by number 23, Matthew Schmidt. The score is now Olympic.
Matthew Schmidt, who has been credited with the goal. I have to admit I missed who scored it, and is it Matthew Schmidt who's down on the floor? I think it might be. He was injured in scoring the goal. Absolutely incredible scenes. I wonder how Gray Piddock will feel about that. He's already made 2 substitutions. Brandon Kumaneo is still pleading his case. There's a lengthy delay here, and Kumaneo has had a strong word with the assistants. Again, we don't condone that. 2-2 here. This game is going up and down like a yo-yo, and it's absolutely fantastic to watch. Simon Smale with you on the call for Football Queensland. And we are going to need to see a substitution. The goal scorer, Matt Schmidt, has gone off, and it might have been the exuberant celebrations that followed that's actually cost him his spot in the side for the rest of this match. Absolutely unbelievable. No sooner has he found the back of the net, but he's had to be withdrawn, and Gray Piddock has turned to his assistant and he's fuming. There's still more conversations going on between the referee and his assistant. Perhaps he's unsure whether there was an offside. We'll have to look at the tape, I'm afraid, and you can be your own judge of that, particularly on YouTube. Just rewind and have a look. You can see if my over-exuberance was warranted in celebrating that goal, or whether or not it should have stood. But whether it should have stood or whether it shouldn't have stood is immaterial, because the ball has gone into the back of the net, the score has gone up, and we're about to kick off once Gold Coast Knights make their 3rd and final substitution after the goal scorer, Matt Schmidt, injured himself in celebrating the goal. Just a reminder that the IFCA conference is coming up very, very soon. In fact, it's just 2 weeks away, and you can get your delegate pass at ifcca.com.au, ifca.com.au. Make sure you check that out now. Here's White. How will Olympic respond? It's fallen at the feet of Alex Smith. He tried to tee himself up. He does manage to tee himself up and sent his opponent flying. In the meantime, it's Danny Morton who's come on, the number 4 for Gold Coast Knights. All perfectly legal from Alex Smith. Danny Morton just racing in to make himself a nuisance. Grey Pedic has no more substitutions remaining. Matt Schmidt off after scoring the equalising goal, after Olympic came from behind at half-time. They were trailing by a goal to nil as Nichols goes up against Lofthouse. Nichols wasn't at the races, but Ndine was, and he manages to steal possession. Lofthouse is still pinballing around there. And there is a deflection, but it's now at the feet of Adam Ndine, and Ndine is going to go wide to Hoffman. Hoffman to Prasad. Prasad cuts back inside. He's going to shape to shoot here. Steely glare is directed his way by Sam Smith, who was making a run towards the back post. But Jaden Prasad only had eyes for the goal on that occasion. And we're going to see our first substitution of the night for the hosts, and it's Zelfi Nazari, who was a late inclusion, former WA man who's been withdrawn. The man who's come on, that perennial substitute, Costa Saros. 23-year-old, scored 3 in 2 games. Unable to find the back of the net last week in the 3-1 victory over the Roar, but scored twice against City and once against Strikers. A little collision there between Glover and Smith. I said we'd keep our eyes on it. Smith is pointing out that little trip, or attempted trip, by Glover to the assistant on this near side, who's had plenty of work to do in this second half. He's had plenty of attention directed upon her. Smith goes down under the attentions of Ndine. It's opened up for Dylan. Dylan plays the ball inside to Prasad. Prasad out wide to Panetta. Panetta wants a return ball from Prasad. Kazuya Ito has his pocket picked. Panetta runs into the penalty area. It goes down. No foul, says the referee. Big shouts from the supporters beneath us in the grandstand, and Jez Lofthouse goes on a little run now, and here we go. Jez Lofthouse at the races. He's left Walker in a heap on the ground. He's still on the ground, Jez Lofthouse. Oh, that's a wonderful save from Tim Allen. And the ball's in the back of the net regardless. Alex Smith retakes the lead for Olympic. Tim Allen couldn't have done more with that Chris Lucas shot. It was arrowing in to the far corner of the goal, but Alex Smith with a wonderful strike to retake the lead for Olympic. It was a strong handoff from Jez Lofthouse that left Jaden Walker on the ground, and I have a feeling he may have done something to his shoulder. May have even dislocated it. He's in all sorts of pain down to our right. Alex Smith finishing from an acute angle. Disappointing for Tim Allen, because that was a wonderful save. But Olympic have retaken the lead. 3-2 the scoreline now. This game has had absolutely everything. What an encounter, what a contest. It's nice to see Jez Lofthouse has actually come over to just check on the well-being of Jaden Walker. There was nothing illegal in what Lofthouse did. He simply had his arm out, and Walker ran into it really, but checking on his opponent, it's good sportsmanship. But there will be a fair delay here while Jaden Walker gets some treatment. Ice is being taken onto the field. We're going to win the league is the call from the supporters down away to our left. That might be optimistic, especially the way that Peninsula Power are still trucking along at the top of the table, unbeaten still. But Olympic, we're doing their chances no harm at all by responding so well to going behind. Not only going behind in the first half, but being pulled back level so soon after going ahead. Remarkable resilience for this Olympic team. The atmosphere has reached a crescendo, although that crescendo has been somewhat punctured by this nasty looking injury to Jaden Walker. I feel like he has dislocated his shoulder. He went down holding that shoulder. And we'll just remind you that you can watch every single National Premier League's Queensland game live and free on the Football Queensland website and YouTube channel. You can go via the Football Queensland website, footballqueensland.com.au, and there's an action-packed round coming up for you next week as well. Federal election time. There's 5 games for you to choose from, including the game of the round. If you think this game was big, between second and third and fourth on the ladder, then how about this? Peninsula Power against reigning champions and Premiers Lions. 5 o'clock kickoff from AJ Kelly Park as Jaden Walker gets a round of applause to be helped off the side of the field. He's in all sorts of pain there. Very unfortunate for him, who's had a really good game, the youngster. Former Raw youth player. He's very unsettled down there, and even worse news for Gold Coast Knights is that they're going to have to play the remainder of his game with 10 men. Gray Pittock having played all of his cards and made all of his substitutions. The yellow card was just shown there to Alex Smith, and I have to admit I have no idea what for. Must have been something that happened in the build-up perhaps, and maybe it was a bit of discussion because there was some consultation with the assistant on this near side. There's been a fair few consultations on the assistant on this near side. In fact, it probably was because he lifted his shirt off while he celebrated. We've seen some stupid yellow cards being given, one of them to Oscar Dillon for kicking the ball away. Taking your shirt off with still a quarter of the match remaining. That ranks up there with in the stupidity stakes, and a player of Alex Smith's experience should perhaps know better. How are Gold Coast Knights going to respond now? Down to 10 men. Not of their own doing, as suddenly the space opens up for Matt Heath, who's come onto the field. Heath was being fouled in all sorts of different ways by Roman Hoffman. Hoffman's going to be shown a yellow card. There's been a few of them being shown over the last few minutes, space before half-time, and now all of a sudden afterwards as well. I didn't see who Matt Heath replaced. That must have happened during the injury layoff during Jaden Walker. But a free kick in incredibly promising position, and Alex Smith, well, he can hit them. In fact, Olympic have a couple of players in their midst who can belt a free kick with some assuredness. Steve White is one of them. He's standing over the ball. He's got the captain's armband on. Alex Smith is going to fancy it. He goes wide, and that's a real catalogue of errors. Matt Heath wanted the ball over on that far side. Matt Heath, player who it's fantastic to see back on the field, it has to be said. He has been with Olympic forever, certainly since 2013, had a spell off, pretty much a season and a half after a magnificent start to the 2017 season. He was suffering from osteopubis, had a year and a bit off, scored 13 goals in 8 games in that 2017 season for Olympic. He's back in action, making his 7th appearance of the season for Olympic here in 2019. It's great to see. Panetta tried everything to get out of that hole, but was unable to do so. Neat little flick from Lucas. It got the oohs and gasps from the crowd, but it's Gold Coast Knights who are on the attack now with Panetta. Lovely ball by Panetta. It was a touch from Smith. It wasn't quite hard enough. The bodies were flying in from the edge of the area. Christian Waters amongst them, perhaps. He made just enough impact to stop that ball from being hit with enough ferocity by Sam Smith, but it was well gathered by Brandon Kumineo. And the 10 men of Gold Coast Knights, after the injury to Jaden Walker, Gray Pittock having used all of his substitutes already, with a quarter of the match remaining, could have been talking about another equaliser. Chipped over the top by Prasad. Prasad to the byline, chips it towards Smith. Arriving late is Panetta. It's still there for Panetta. Diving on the ball is Brandon Kumineo. Which team has 10 men? It's Gold Coast Knights, who've really got their tails up in this second half. Perhaps the perceived injustice of losing a man to a handoff from Jez Lofthouse, and Jaden Walker is just making his way back to the dressing sheds now, keeping an eagle eye on proceedings as he makes his forlorn way down in front of the spectators here. Smith goes to ground, Lofthouse with the pass, it's cut out by Luke Austin, and Knights will build from the far side with Hoffman. Hoffman's looking for Prasad ahead of him. Really good tackle at the back there by Deus. Inside to Smith and Lucas. Smith suddenly has space ahead of him. Lucas is making a run to his right. Lofthouse to his left. It finds its way to the feet of Lofthouse. Lofthouse with the shot. Is that a handball against Oscar Dillon? Certainly looked like there was a hand involved. The Olympic bench are blowing up. The supporters beneath us are rattling the grandstand in frustration. Not quite sure how much Oscar Dillon knew of it, but his hunched body certainly looked like his arms were dangling down, and it may well have touched the arm. I'm getting a nod from my handy cameraman, who's my second pair of eyes up here this evening at Goodwin Park. I'm glad I'm not just seeing things. It's a decent ball towards Prasad. Prasad on the edge of the area. He's found a free kick. Smith has his arms aloft. Prasad lays prone on the turf. Gets a little bit of advice from Kumineo. The action's at the other end of the field though, and Tim Allen coming out to hammer that ball onto the roof next to us. Is it going to get caught up there? It may not. It's going to find its way back down onto the media desk. And Jez Lofthouse was away at the races there. You cannot take your eyes off this for a second. A yellow card is being shown to Luke Austin. It must be for back chat. That's his third of the season. We've already seen Jared Carl receive his fifth booking of the campaign. Hoffman his second. Oscar Dillon his fourth. Alex Smith his first. The throw-in will be taken now by Kazuya Ito. Olympic, if you've forgotten in all of that, lead by 3-2. Gold Coast Knights down to 10 men after Jaden Walker had to be forced from the field after what looked like a nasty shoulder injury, perhaps a dislocation even, after he was given the no-nonsense handoff by Jez Lofthouse. It looked legal, and as much as I say it was a no-nonsense handoff. All of Olympic's 3 goals coming in the second half as Sam Smith tries to make himself big, but cannot get to the ball ahead of Jack Glover. A handball is given against Matt Heath, and Gold Coast Knights will build from the back. This is where Mitch Nichols needs to earn his money, trying to drag his team out using his experience, his 226 game experience in the Hyundai A-League. He's yet to score for Gold Coast. There's Nichols. He managed 33 goals in the A-League. Allen launches this ball forward, presumably hoping that Nick Panetta was going to make a run. He can only find Ito. Ito just hammers that ball hopefully inside. It's headed back from whence it came by Dillon. Another battle between Glover and Sam Smith. Sam Smith somehow comes up with it, again being challenged by Glover. Nichols with the needle looking to be threaded by that pass towards Panetta. Couldn't work its way through the eye, and that pass almost to the feet of Shelford Deus. He was unable to make contact, and he trots back towards his position in the defensive line. Here's Tim Allen, who made such a wonderful save from Jez Lofthouse's initial shot, but could only palm it into the path of Alex Smith, who finished from an acute angle to hand Olympic the lead, re-hand Olympic the lead. They trailed by 1-0, took the lead early in the second half thanks to a penalty from Chris Lucas and a strike from Jez Lofthouse. Smith and Waters coming into contact there. Smith, the other variety, Alex this time, tried to play the ball forward towards Matt Heath. Too far ahead of him though, and Knights will play the ball forward again. It was hopeful towards Prasad. Prasad though was making his way back towards his own goal. Waters takes the throw in quickly, plays a 1-2 with Kumaneo. It's back with Kumaneo now. Smith jumps ahead of Dillon. The ball's played back towards goal. Lucas gives chase. Allen launches it over the halfway line. Smith and Glover. How many times have we said those names? And Smith has a little stamp. Was that at Glover? Smith hasn't been booked yet. If we're going to have a booking, it might be soon. Matt Mundy having a little bit of a word with Smith. There's no booking, I don't think, although the referee does want a word with Jaden Prasad, I think. It's actually Sam Smith who is booked. Oh, hang on, he's sent off. Gold Coast are going to be down to 9. He must have seen a stamp. It looked like there was a little bit of afters. Has someone been sent off, or was it a yellow card? Must have been a yellow card. Apologies. But if it was a yellow card for Sam Smith, if the card was given for what Olympic were claiming was a stamp, why was it yellow? That's the question that only the referee can know the answer to. Sam Smith is shown his 3rd yellow card of the season. He is the 5th Gold Coast Knights player to see a card of some colour today. All of them have been yellow. Apologies for thinking that that one was red, just the reaction. Who knows? Olympic have the ball with Chris Lucas. Lucas is so dangerous in these situations. He plays the ball wide to Heath. Heath thrashes that one across the face of goal. Where was the run from Alex Smith? Had he made that run, we'd be talking about the 4th goal, and someone else has been shown a yellow card now. Who was that? That'll be the 6th Gold Coast Knight to be shown a yellow card. It's the substitute, Adam and Dean. 6 now for Gold Coast Knights. It's unravelling for them. They took an early lead thanks to Jared Kyle. An opportunistic goal from a defensive mistake. Since then, Olympic have really taken charge, but Gold Coast Knights down to 10 men after the injury withdrawal of Jaden Walker, after Gray Piddock had made all of his substitutions. They're down to 10 men, but they're not showing it. They look to be still pushing for the win. Well, they'll need to score 1 to make it an equalising match first. 3-2. Olympic lead. Prasad suddenly picked the pocket of the Olympic defence there. Prasad goes down. It's at the feet of Mitch Nichols. What can Nichols conjure? He races into the edge of the penalty area. He goes down. The shot comes in. It's a fierce one from Adam Ndian, but it's well saved by Kumaneo. Oh, there are still goals in this one. Don't take your eyes off it for a second. 8 minutes of normal time remaining. Here's Mitch Nichols, the 10 men of Gold Coast Knights, still pressing forward. Nichols at the ball at his feet once again. Here's Ndian. His ball through to Panetta is picked off, and Jez Lofthouse tries to find Chris Lucas, unable to do so, and the ball goes back by way of Danny Norton to Tim Allen. Now Oscar Dillon. Nichols has acres of space. How did that come about? It's closed down pretty quickly though by Jez Lofthouse, but his pass towards White is a poor one. It's picked up by Adam and Dean to Nichols. Nichols has space on this near side. He could go back to Morton. He does. Morton has space. Now so does Prasad. Prasad to Morton. Nichols, Smith, back to Nichols. Nichols is going to make his way towards the edge of the penalty area and inside the penalty area. That was a hand, wasn't it? from Kristen Waters, not spotted by the officiating team. Certainly a hand by Kristen Waters. It was outside the area from this angle. The Gold Coast Knights do have rights to be aggrieved in that situation. And Dean has his pocket picked by Lucas. Lucas chips the ball over the top towards Matt Heath. Can Matt Heath seal it here? Matt Heath puts it wide of the post. The Olympic bench can't believe it. I'm not sure I can either. Excellent work from Matt Heath. His goalless run continues. In 2017, so the last time he scored a goal in the National Premier League's Queensland, as Smith uses his body illegally to push Jack Glover off his line. That battle has just been fascinating all match, and at the moment Glover has the upper hand over the former Rushden and Diamonds, Lincoln, Cambridge United and Woking Town player from Derby in the United Kingdom. Played 2017 with Gold Coast City, won the Golden Boot with 23 goals in 22 games. Was at Port Melbourne for the 2018 season. And Alex Smith is going to be withdrawn. So just one Smith remaining on the field. And Alex Smith, who scored a goal, took his shirt off and got a yellow card. One of, in fact, the only Olympic player to be shown a yellow card so far, is replaced by Costa Saros. I've been instructed that the local supporters here would be unhappy with me if I refer to him as Saros. So I've chosen for Saros. He says he doesn't matter either way. This is a weekend in which the pronunciation of surnames has become a hot topic in Australian sporting circles. Rival code, of course, but the principle still applies, and Saros helps that one over the line for a throw-in that will be taken by Danny Morton. Smith gets the better of Ito, but his chested ball down was unable to be picked up by Gold Coast Knight, and here comes Saros. Saros plays the ball towards Lucas. Lucas has space. Lucas is going to shoot here. He may have wanted the ball back at his feet and to reassess his options after seeing that. Jez Lofthouse just motioned towards the bench. That's just making sure he's playing in the right position after Saros has come on. They are similar players, Saros and Lofthouse. Tricky and pacey. Smith gets the better of Glover on that occasion, but the ball is still at the feet of a red and white shirted player. And then White tried to play the ball to Saros, who moved off his mark. Smith and Glover. That's a contest that's been so fascinating in this game. Glover has taken a bit of a knock. He appears to be okay. He's limping his way out of the action. There's 3 Knights offside. They got back onside before that ball was played, though. Sam Smith takes Glover to the ground. It is a free kick, much to the frustration of the Knights fans beneath us. That battle has been simmering all day, and Sam Smith was shown a yellow card, which I thought was a red card, because it appeared to be seen as if Sam Smith had either kicked out or perhaps stamped down on Jack Glover when he was on the floor after another of these collisions between the pair. That's not what the referee saw, or at least it can't have been, because otherwise it wouldn't have been a yellow card, it would have been red. But there seemed to be some confusion as to whether or not Gold Coast would have to finish this game down to 9 men. As it is, they're just for 1 man down after Jaden Walker was carried off injured, nursing what looked like a dislocated shoulder. That coming after Gray Piddock had made all of his substitutions. Knights continue to play the high tempo game as Jez Lofthouse just helps that one out. Disappointingly for him, poor touch. Nichols with the flick right onto the chest of Lofthouse. Lofthouse can't keep it under control, and Dean plays it back. It's hammered forward onto the chest of Ito. Glover, Saros. Lofthouse has made a run ahead of him. It could go back to White though. Instead it's tried to an ambitious pass, a low percentage pass through towards Lucas. It's found its way through to Lucas again by way of Ito, but the whistle had already gone for a foul on Prasad. Last chance saloon, you'd think, for Gold Coast Knights. Kumineo has come. He comes with his head and he heads well. White on the ball. Now Ito. Saros could switch play over to the far side of the field, and Lucas is going to get in between the defender and Tim Allen in the Knights goal, but Allen was well aware of where the ball was going to end up and hammers the ball clear. It's going to be an Olympic throw on that far side though. A reminder to follow Football Queensland on social media at FootballQLD for Instagram and Twitter, and just search for Football Queensland on Facebook and YouTube. Is it a throw-in or is it a free kick? It's a free kick, and it's going to be taken by Steve White after the initial dummy. He waits for the whistle, in fact, gets the whistle. Lucas receives the ball back. Lucas running in towards the penalty area, puts the ball in towards Saros. It doesn't get there though, it was well cut out in the end. And Knights will build through Prasad. Prasad cuts inside Ito. Now lots of space for Sam Smith. What can he conjure here? He keeps the ball in well. Head up, looks for options. It's headed clear dramatically by Waters, only as far as Prasad. Prasad goes wide to the substitute Morton. Morton was closed down Saros. Saros did just enough to stop the first time pass. Back inside to Prasad though. Prasad sprays the ball wide, straight to the foot of his assistant coach. Gray Piddock looks on from a seated position, unmoved, but nevertheless frustrated, you'd think, after a promising move breaks down. And this game seems to be marching on to its inexorable conclusion. A conclusion that appears to have Olympic gaining all 3 points. A fantastic game of football, a wonderful exhibition of football at the state level. Olympic will jump ahead of Gold Coast Knights into third spot if the result stays the same, and there's no guarantee of that. Jez Lofthouse frustrated that he was penalised for a free kick, and Gold Coast Knights are sending every single player up. Tim Allen is playing almost as a centre-back. He goes wide, well out of his goal. That free kick is woeful. It's right into the hands of Brandon Kumineo, and Kumineo will just comfortably gather it. Hoffman will not want to see that one again. The watch was being tapped by the assistant on this near side. We are in the hands of our Total Tools officiating team. Zui Ito takes his time. It is a Knights throw though. One last opportunity, you'd think, for the visitors from the surf side. Sam Smith leaves a challenge on Steve White, and then Danny Morton runs Costa Saros off the ball. No foul. It's played forward towards Mitch Austin. It's headed clear by the irrepressible Jack Glover, who's been excellent tonight. Now Jez Lofthouse wide to Saros. He was challenged by Ndian, but Saros has the ball in relatively free space. He's being challenged now though by Morton. I don't like teams taking him to the corner. It was a waste of time, especially when the quality of football's been so high. But he wins a free kick, which was the intended outcome of that particular endeavour. And if you are Olympic, why wouldn't you take the ball into the corner? What a valuable 3 points this will be. The 10th win of the season for Ben Khan's side, and a well-earned one. They certainly know they've been in a match. They started slowly, but they have grown into this match, and that 3-goal burst at the start of the second half looks like it may well be enough. Dummy from Steve White. Ball was never touched. It's clean touched now. White is going to have to do battle, and he's going to win. No, the ball stays in, but now Olympic will look to peg Danny Morton in the corner. He wins a throw-in though. Loops that throw towards Mitch Nichols. Lucas nips in and gets that ball off Ndian. What's Lucas going to be able to conjure here? He plays the ball wide to Deus. Deus can't keep it in and then falls onto the ball. Has he injured himself? No, he's just playing for time a little bit more. There cannot be much left in this match. They're working their way upfield though of Gold Coast Knights. Smith jumps but can't get his head onto that ball, and Olympic will come again. Space, and space ahead of him for Matt Heath. Matt Heath's going to go, perhaps make amends for the miss that he made early. He can't squeeze the ball through to Saros. Habits of a lifetime, sorry, Costa Saros. And now there's a long ball towards Jaden Prasad. Kumineo way out of his penalty area, and he heads the ball out for a throw-in. Smith with alacrity gets the ball from Morton. Chipped in by Austin, courtesy of a deflection. It's headed back towards Kumineo, and Kumineo dives on it. Tim Allen is counting down how long Brandon Kumineo has with the ball. It's a shonky looking kick, but it finds itself at the feet of Steve White. Still we play on. Jez Lofthouse may well take this to the corner. He's got Mitch Nichols in close attendance. Jez Lofthouse bringing his full display of tricks out. He takes the ball past everybody, and then there's a little bit of a coming together between Nichols and Lofthouse. Lofthouse certainly felt that he was fouled. Nichols hammers this ball forward. It's only going to be towards Kristen Waters though. Waters hammers it back upfield. Free kick to Gold Coast Knights. We are deep into stoppage time now. Is there one more twist in the tail? Not if you take the free kick too quickly, there's not. Will the delivery be better on this occasion from the Knights after the woeful effort last time? Tim Allen comes up. He's level with where the ball's been taken. It's played in and it's gathered comfortably by Kumineo, who should be in no rush, although gives an impression of being in a bit of a hurry. He plays the ball out to his captain Steve White. Now Jez Lofthouse, he plays the ball out. Still we play on here at Goodwin Park. 5 minutes plus of stoppage time having been already played. There was a lengthy delay, remember, when Jaden Walker was being offered treatment for that dislocated shoulder, what we suspect is a dislocated shoulder. Free kick is given for the foul on Oscar Dillon, who's playing in an advanced position. Steve White throws the ball down into the ground. Is Steve White going to be shown a yellow card? Yes, he is. That's the second yellow card of the day for Olympic, neither of which have come from a foul, but we are so deep into stoppage time now. Tim Allen's coming up. He thinks time is nearly over on the edge of the penalty area. He's been given some instruction from the bench. He looks like he's going to have a long run at this one, Tim Allen. It's aimed towards Tim Allen. Alex Smith, it's headed in! Late drama! It was Oscar Dillon, was it? It was Oscar Dillon! All square here at Goodwin Park with the last kick of the game! Phenomenal drama at Goodwin Park in the National Premier League's Queensland. In the 96th minute of the game, Gold Coast Knights snatch a point. I stand corrected. It's the 97th minute of the game. Absolutely incredible scenes here. Is there going to be any time for another goal? Who knows? We've already played 7 minutes. I personally don't want this one to end. We've seen late drama all week in football around the world. We've had it here as well. What a fantastic finish to this one from the Gold Coast Knights. Oscar Dillon, his first goal of the season. And what a time to get it. What a vital point this might end up being for the Gold Coast Knights. Now it is Gold Coast Knights, the 10 men of Gold Coast Knights, lest we forget, who are asking when time will be blown up by the referee. Mitch Nichols leading the calls. We still play on. And that's a poor pass, a really poor pass from Steve White. Surely there's no more late drama, is there? No, that's it. Game over here at Goodwin Park. A late show for Gold Coast Knights, who led early through Jared Carl's opportunistic strike Olympic hit back with some ferocity in the second half. Chris Lucas scoring from the penalty spot. Jez Lofthouse scoring with a sublime finish. We were pulled back level with Matt Schmidt's goal. He then injured himself celebrating, becoming the third substitute of Gray Piddock. Shortly after, Jez Lofthouse went on a mazy run, provided the ball to Alex Smith to score after Tim Allen's wonderful save. But in the melee, after Jez Lofthouse started his run, Jaden Walker had to be forced from the field with what looked like a dislocated shoulder. Gold Coast Knights playing with 10 men with an absolute age of stoppage time, scored in the 7th minute of it through Oscar Dillon. Tim Allen went up to make his impact felt, and did make his impact felt at the corner. Late drama here, 3-3 the final score. What a dramatic match. What a fantastic advert for the National Premier League's Queensland. You're going to want to watch that back and make sure you check it out, and all the fallout from the match on footballqueensland.com.au. I've been Simon Smale. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you alongside me tonight for this match. Enjoy the A-League if that's where your attention turns for this Sunday evening. If not, enjoy whatever football you have in store over the coming days. Peninsula Power against Lions is our match of the week. You'll be able to join Rafe Griffin for that one on Saturday night at 5 o'clock. But from me, Simon Smale, it is good night from Goodwin Park, where Olympic and Gold Coast Knights have played out a dramatic 3-3 draw. Simon Smale, on behalf of Football Queensland, this has been a production for Double Take, and we will see you next week. Good evening.